In today's episode of Lacuna Uprising, we will discuss the ancient holistic Indian system of Ayurveda. Our guest today is a holistic Ayurvedic wellness coach and chef with a passion for reframing nourishment as medicine. She's going to share with us how she supports her clients using this ancient system. So thank you, Lizzey, for joining me today and having this conversation.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So can you tell me a little bit more about Ayurvedic medicine and what that entails?
Yeah. So if anyone doesn't really know what Ayurveda is, Ayurveda translates from Sanskrit into the science of life. And it runs on the principle of what's called doshic theory. It's a philosophical theory of everything in our world, people, plants, objects that have seemingly no life. They all have a quality and they all have this a makeup of the elements, which are called the doshas. It's three doshas. There's Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Vata is made up of air and ether, so the stars and like air and wind. Pitta is fire and water, but the water is more oily. And Kapha is earth and water. So as I say, everything has this particular doshic makeup. So when a person is born into the world, we have what's called a prakriti. That's like your natural constitution, like how much Vata, Pitta, and Kapha makes up you. And then as you go through life, different experiences and their doshic qualities then affect you and bring in what's called the vikruti. So the way that you've come away from your initial like soul self, the prakriti. So that's like your imbalance. So then in Ayurvedic medicine, what is assessed is the state of your doshas, as well as like other stuff there, but the doshas are really what we rely on to get a really deep understanding of what's gone on in your life, what's accumulated, and what's that like root cause of something over here that's probably from something way down the line back there. And as I say, yeah, that comes in many different ways. In just clients that have got digestive issues, I can then see, okay, so what is the digestive issue and how does that shows up in those doshas. So what can I say, like acid reflux, very very pitta. Like if you've got like any kind of acidity, any like hot sharp stuff, that's very very pitta. So that, yeah, they all these little subtle things that's going on with my clients that probably they don't really think is anything big, actually is like a huge telltale sign of like, I see what's going on here. You've got some vata that's just coming in to kind of mix things around and create a little bit of irregularity. So really my work lies in understanding the ways and sharing obviously that understanding of, okay, this is where you've come into imbalance and this is how you can start nourishing that back to get you back into this state of sama, of balance, of as close as your prakriti as you can possibly get, really. So yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about how that relates to women's menstrual cycles?
Absolutely. So mainly most of my clients are women. So when you come and do a initial intake meeting with me, like a consultation, it's about 2 hours. Often goes a little bit further than that, but I will assess. So generally I will assess the state of your stress, because stress is like tip-top important. Then I go into assessing digestion and just like the eating habits and like those lifestyle things. And then with women or people that have a womb, I will assess their how their bleed is, and that's from early childhood or like whenever your first bleed was, how was that through your teen years, and as you go into adult years, and then how is it now? And that's just assessing. So if there was someone that has like a really irregular, they've got quite a light flow and they never really know when it's going to come about. Sometimes their cycle is 35 days long, sometimes it's 50 days long, and it's just like all over the place. That's very much like a Vata. You've got light flow, that's very Vata. If you've got someone like myself who has quite heavy but sharp, very painful periods, that's going into that Pitta, the sharpness, and a little bit of heating there. Generally, if people have quite harsh periods, you're gonna look at there's probably some kind of heat in the system. And generally that lies in the liver, but you would work with it in regular digestion as well as the digestion that the liver does as well. And then if you have like a really slow flow or there's stagnant blood or maybe the blood quality is not as vibrant and it's like maybe a little bit brown or just not that like bright red, that's going to be more kapha, and that's kind of how I assess where that menstrual flow is at, and also like the emotions that come up. What are you feeling in your luteal phase? What are you feeling when you're ovulating? Do you get pain when you're ovulating or not? There's those little things that really have to really take stock on to really understand where a person's cycle actually shows up for them.
So, what are certain things that you might suggest to someone that has either, I don't know, irregular menstrual cycles, either they're long or they're short? How would you go about giving your clients suggestions?
Generally, so I was one of these people that had like extreme irregularity in my periods. When I was younger, I maybe had like one a year and it was just
Oh.
not okay. And really, generally what Ayurveda would say is to kind of counterbalance. You always work on this law of opposites in Ayurveda. So if you've got something that's really very much irregular, can you call in regularity in as many other aspects of your life as possible? Can you regulate your meal times? Can you regulate the activities that you're doing and really bring what that does is really kind of pokes at the nervous system to be like, hey, remember we like every day we do that thing now? Oh, and the nervous system can say, oh, yeah, that's safe. We can do that now. Even down to like for your body to expect you to have a meal at a certain time so that it can actually really assimilate that meal for you. It's bringing in that regularity, I think, was probably one of the most pivotal moments for me to like work and experience Ayurveda, and having the awareness of like, if I can just give myself some kind of routine, it doesn't have to be like packed full of all these different like self-care routines and activities. If there can just be like, maybe it is just, okay, I'm going to have my breakfast at this time, then I'm going to have my lunch at this time, and I'm going to have my dinner at this time. It's just giving your body that time to go, oh yeah. I know what's going on. This is fine. We've done this before. We're in a safe space. And that I think that is probably the main piece of advice that I give any of my clients, really. Because if you can give yourself that regularity, it can allow your body and your nervous system to kind of step off the fight and flight phase and be in that mode to be like, oh, now I can rest and now I can digest and now we can do these things, and all of those parts of my hormones that might have been affected by this nervous system state can kind of rest and come back to what they needed to be now. And you'll start seeing like that shift in any symptomology. I'm not saying that it's going to completely change it, but you will see some significant shifting for sure.
Right. So
Mm.
I learned a little bit about this ancient wisdom as I was developing Alchemy Delights seed cycling bars. And seed cycling comes from Ayurvedic medicine as well as traditional Chinese medicine. And so, is this a method that you suggest to your clients?
Definitely. Seed cycling is definitely something that I would focus on, but more so that the awareness of your cycle, to be able to see where in your cycle you there's other nutrition, right, that we want to look at going through your cycle. And um I've spoken about like this there's that intuitive part of your body that says, I want dark chocolate. And like, oh, you want dark chocolate, but do you want that because it's sweet, or is it because your body says, I want that magnesium. I
Mm,
need that right now.
absolutely.
Or is it, do you need something fatty, or is it because you need the omega fats? Do you need that kind of nourishment? So seed cycling obviously hits all of those marks, but isn't always accessible to clients as your lovely product makes it. There aren't a lot of resources that make it super accessible for clients. So generally, I would recommend seed cycling, but then also just the awareness of being able to support your cycle with other foods as well, because there's other sources outside of seeds to support your cycle. I think seed cycling is probably one of the best um, easy supplements, if that makes it sense. If that makes sense, you can supplement with like other things, but you can yeah, it's
It
definitely
really
something that's
it really delivers like the nutrients that are really needed to support
hmm
your body throughout your cycle. Uh,
hmm
but of course, your body will give you clues as to what it needs throughout your cycle, right?
hmm
And
hmm
um, I think awareness is a really big part of cycle syncing is understanding your body and then understanding the nutrition that it needs throughout your cycle. And although seed cycling provides those nutrients, the awareness also kind of helps with the emotional side. And we had talked about the luteal phase of our cycle and how it is often a window to what's going on throughout your menstrual cycle, emotionally or physically or whatnot. Do you want to speak a little bit on that subject?
yeah, I think so. Ayurveda actually kind of breaks down our cycle quite well with both dosha and seasons.
Mm,
If you try and think of the menstrual phase as like seasons, you would think of so your follicular phase, if you think of, is very, very spring, like you've got this, you're just gonna start having this little bloom and this egg is gonna like come into fruition. Um, and then you go through your follicular into your ovulatory, and that's more like a summer. That's you're feeling good when you're in your ovulatory phase. You're like, okay, I could do that workout. That sounds great. And then luteal is when you're coming through autumn and you're coming down, your hormones are coming down, and you're kind of getting ready for the winter of your menstruation phase. And you get a lot of that. I think the luteal phase, it has this kind of like nesting um intuition, I guess, so that you can kind of get yourself into the space to then use your menstrual phase as more of like a processing
Mm.
time for you. Okay, your menstruation, you can come into yourself, you can really kind of like let go and really process what you need from the cycle before. And then as you come through your menstruation into your follicular again, that's where you can really start using that reflection time to then start, how do I want this next cycle to be? How do I want this next chapter to look like? How do I want to feel? How do I want to nourish myself? It's like that planning you can do in your follicular. And I love the way that Ayurveda really puts that into the seasons so that you can really kind of, you can see the energetics through that of like, oh, that's what that's like. And I think that's probably one of the greatest pieces of awareness it's brought to my cycle. And I share that with my clients as well. Like, if you think of this as summer,
Mhm.
spring, autumn, winter, you can get those energetics and be like, ah, yes, this is what I can do right now. So it's very interesting that.
So I actually, as I developed my product, that's really how I've created the seed cycling bars is winter, spring, summer, and fall. And I actually wasn't aware that that came from Ayurvedic medicine. I wasn't,
Mm.
unless I've forgotten since then. But uh, I mean, it just gives you so much insight into what's going on. So much wisdom. And if you back up as well, you can kind of, we've got this circular motion as women, we're very kind of circular in not just our cycles, our cyclical cycles, but also when you kind of zoom out and you look at the cycles in life, how the seasons in life, you can kind of
Mm-hmm.
refer to the seasons in a lifetime as well, right?
Yes, yes.
So it's interesting how much we can take from nature and actually kind of look at what's going on within our cycle and how much wisdom
Mm-hmm.
we can take from outside of our cycle from nature and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And so um, I'd like to ask you how you think cycle syncing, if more people in society knew or had this information about their cycles, how this could transform our society.
Mm. I think generally, whenever I'm asked very similar questions, I have had similar questions in terms of like mental health awareness as well. But
Yeah.
I think it starts with kids. I think it starts with education at like younger age, because we're seeing women or girls starting their periods at younger and younger and younger ages. They're not told anything about their bodies until however long down the line. Um, And even then, it's not like a deep understanding of their cycle. It's kind of like, this is what happens, and this is what you can use. And there's no real in-depth education of this, of a woman's cycle, of this is what your vulva is, this is what this is your uterus. Like, there's not enough open spaces for this. And I think teaching kids younger and younger so that they understand that it is safe to have these conversations, that it is absolutely open and okay, and it's not it doesn't have to be this embarrassing thing. It's
Mhm.
natural, it's beautiful, it's the way that your body is just trying to like do its job and cleanse and get rid of what it needs to. Um, there's a one of my teachers in Shakti school where I studied Ayurveda. They do I think it's a mum and teen cycle circle. She's
Yeah,
been doing an event so that you can really invite those spaces into society, and I think we were saying also just by not just teaching girls, like teaching boys as well, how is that then going to shift how they interact with their partners? Like I just think of my youngest brother, and I think, he's already like this super nurturing young man, but if he was then taught, okay, my partners or my sister or my mom, like they've they're going through these different shifts throughout their own cycles throughout their lifetime. If they had an understanding of, oh, mum's probably not got super a lot of energy right now, maybe I should like give her some space. Like, how would that change your family dynamic? How would that change your workspace? And I think it just starts with like education as young as you'd like, I think. The
absolutely.
kids hold a key, I think.
Absolutely. And I feel that half of it is also giving younger generation like the power to make a difference within their cycles, right? And
Mm,
I feel feel powerless to, these uncomfortable menstrual cycles, and educating young girls how to nutritionally support their cycle. And it's kind of, giving that power back
mm,
to the young girls, women, all the way into, menopause and postmenopausal. The more we understand our bodies and how to support it, I think that can really, really transform a society. And not just nutritionally, of course, emotionally is like, it's a huge thing, right? If we can um, understand ourselves better emotionally. I've pondered this question quite extensively, and I see how the roots, like, it could just be so far reaching and so transformative, as you said, within a workplace, within younger generations, girls, boys. It's just it's so important to kind of come back to this knowledge, um,
mm,
because it's not new.
no.
We had this knowledge, and we lived according to this knowledge not so long ago.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
so can you tell me, I noticed that you have you're offering private chef session.
Mhm.
Do you go into people's homes and cook for them, or you do prepping, or what do you
So it's like relatively new offering. I'm like my day job, I am a private chef anyway. So I currently am a private chef for a lawyer. And he has his specific dietary needs. He's also an athlete, he's a jiu-jitsu fighter. So I kind of keep him in the realm of what he would like and to keep him in fighter shape, as he says. But generally what I want to then move into offering, and I didn't even think of this until I had a conversation with a doula. I think she was on your podcast recently. She was
Yes,
like, I
Jess.
could, she said like, oh, I could totally recommend you to like my mums and my new
Yes.
parents. And I was like, absolutely you can.
Yes.
Because how much of postpartum care can come down to nourishment, like the idea of postpartum depression. A lot of that comes from there's nutrition that you're having pulled from you for this baby that you no longer have access to. And the actual problem is having access to the nourishment that you need once you've had this lovely, beautiful baby. And I just think we learnt about I don't know if you know the Sacred Window. I think they're the Sacred Window Society, or I can't remember the last little word over there. But they really lean into this idea, like there's this sacred window after birth where you've got like 42 days, where if you can just focus on mum, baby, and nourishment, you can just you're nourishing baby and mom at the same time, and it just nurtures this beautiful relationship where you can it's quite as they say, quite sacred, and it's a beautiful magic is made in that space. And I just wanted to be able to give space for moms that are like, I don't have time to have meals for me, let alone the rest of the family going on.
Absolutely.
Um, so it's kind of like a customizable kind of offering, I guess. I kind of want it to be if mums just want, say you just want a freezer packed full of prepped meals so that when you get home from the hospital or wherever your birth is, you can just put it out, someone can whack it on in the slow cooker for you, and you don't have to think about it, but it's still full of all this nourishment you need. That's fine. That's your need, and that's easily achievable. But if you want someone also to come and just like cook and like be with you and baby, and it's not my expertise, but in supporting a doula, like you can then have even more of that like nesting baby like bubble, you know,
I think
and
it's a
and
brilliant
create
idea.
peace. And like hats off to our friend Jess for like just going, hey, thought about this? And I was like, my world has completely just opened up. And
Yes,
not just for baby, like new babies or new parents, should I say. Um, I want to then also, I mix this coaching with my chef background and be able to gear other clients towards if you don't want me to come and cook for you, okay, but do you want to have like a coaching session on how you can do this for yourself and get a better understanding of nourishment yourself so that you can start working with your cycle? Okay, let's do that. It's really exciting, and I can it's a little bit of a little spark that's just kind of happened out of nowhere, but I was like, ah, that's where I'm going, and I can see that now.
yeah, absolutely. I
Mm.
think the idea of um we used to support mothers in that way, right? We used to come and cook and send them meals or whatever. And actually, that was the best gift I've ever had after having a baby is food brought to me and not sweets like I like
Yeah.
an actual meal. I'll always remember my friend that showed up with this big container full of her garden vegetables sauteed in butter and just like it was
Mm,
so nourishing and so
beautiful.
delicious, and it was just exactly what I needed. Food is my love language.
Yes, yeah.
And um I think you being able to provide that to mothers or families of mothers would be so wonderful, such a great idea. Or just come and cook in my house. I think it's brilliant. That I think there's absolutely a need for it, and
Mm, I agree. Yes. Yeah.
right, there's a need for
Mhm.
cooking. So I will include all of your details down below. I'll include links if anybody wants to get in contact with you. That's going to be through your website, I guess, or
Yeah, I have a little landing page
yeah,
that's
I saw
you can book with me, or there's like little options in there so you can just get in contact if you need be. But yeah.
And so I just want to say thank you so much for coming on Lacuna Uprising and being my guest today. I really appreciate your time. And good luck with all
Thank
your
you.
projects coming up. And again, anybody that wants to book you for an in-depth conversation about Ayurvedic medicine, then I urge you to go and contact you. So
Yes.
thank you so much, Lizzey. Thank you for being
Thank
my guest.
you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
My
It was
pleasure.
lovely. Thank you. You take care.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.